the Vocational Manager at NIDA. I manage 5 of NIDA's vocational course offerings, one of which is this Diploma of Musical Theatre. The great thing about NIDA is that all of our diploma courses actually work collaboratively, or they build up through their course to work collaboratively towards the end, and then move into industry and continue with those skills in industry, being that they can work with people from other disciplines to create art. So the other courses we offer at NIDA, if you don't already know, in the diploma courses is a Diploma of Stage and Screen Performance, Diploma of Live Production and Technical Services, and a Diploma of Specialist Makeup Skills. And then we also do a Certificate 3 in Live Production and Services. So in relation to the Diploma of Musical Theatre, this is a 1-year course. In fact, it's a 31-week course, so not quite an entire year. It's divided up into 3 terms, and across those terms you'll build on skills that will lead towards your ability to present musical theatre. The course is divided up into sort of thirds where you focus on both singing, or all 3, singing, dancing and acting in a sort of equal way. You first start learning them separately and then learn to combine them sort of in term 2 and then present them in term 3. But I'll let one of our tutors explain that in a little bit more detail in a second. So yeah, we do dancing, we do singing and we do acting. We also like to support any other amazing skills that you may be able to show us. In the past, we've had students who also play instruments or acrobats or anything like that. So if you're a quadruple threat, we also want you as well. So in terms of the delivery, I think I've explained that. So 31 weeks. We're hoping to start the course in February next year, first week of February, and we hope that the training will go through till about the end of September next year, depending on, of course, restrictions and depending on enrolment. So the other thing about this course is it comes with approval for VET student loans. So the VET student loan should cover the majority of the course fees. It doesn't cover the entirety of the course fees, but it is an excellent amazing resource that you can access from the federal government, which allows you to cover majority of the course fees. On this course, you're also able to access Centrelink, and you're also able to access AbStudy. So it is completely supported externally, and internally it's also very well supported by NIDA. There is the ability to access NIDA resources, work with other students at NIDA, access student wellbeing and counselling, health, and I'm trying to think, and also any social activities as well, which are managed by our student council. So it's a really wonderful course, and it connects you to an amazing community, and we welcome applications from everybody, all walks of life. The most amazing thing about this course as well is the diversity that it attracts, and by having a diverse cohort, we're actually training a range of people for industry, and then we can see those types of people, those faces, those interesting cultural backgrounds reflected in industry in later years. And that's really what we're working towards, a more diverse and a more inclusive industry in Australia. So I'm going to pass over and introduce you now to Anne-Maree McDonald, who is also on this chat. She is one of our core tutors. She's, well, she does work across all areas, but she's mainly in the singing and then performance aspects. So Anne-Maree, if you're able to maybe talk a little bit about yourself, talk about a little bit of how you contribute to this course. And the other thing is that Anne-Maree is also on our audition panel, so maybe you might want to talk about what you look for in students.
Guys, my name is Anne-Maree McDonald, and briefly I started out as a very young performer, playing the piano and singing my own songs on television. Then I went into opera at also a crazy young age. I was 21 and working at the Opera House, doing lead roles with people like Joan Sutherland and all the rest of it. So why that's interesting is because when I turned around 30, I felt that I had really started my career so young that I didn't have enough maybe stability. I started becoming anxious and worried about singing. And so I've really dedicated the last 30 years of my life investigating singing techniques, investigating the psychological blocks that we have, and just trying to simplify singing, because a lot of you will probably agree with me when I say every teacher we go to tells you something different. It's such a subjective thing, and you know, our throats and our voices and our minds and bodies are all unique. So it's a very interesting pathway. Anyway, in terms of mental blocks, my colleague Philip Quast, who you probably know because he's relatively internationally famous, he is one of the core tutors, and he and I often do classes together. And he is just so amazing at making people laugh and allowing them to play. And that's pretty much what he does. I do a lot of concerts with him, and we play a lot when we're rehearsing, even though it's quite serious. So he's a remarkable man to have on our course. I learn every day that I work with him. It's incredible. And we also have people like Simon Burke, who is currently in Moulin Rouge down in Melbourne in quarantine. I think he'll be getting out pretty soon. And we've had amazing people like Simon Phillips come in to direct a group doing a new musical called Starstruck. So what I'm getting at is that it's a little bit different to other training institutions in that pretty much all of the trainers that we have at NIDA have current industry currency. They're still working and they're still out there testing their stuff. And I know that Philip and I have both done quite a few concerts in the last year, and a lot of it was because we go, well, if we're going to tell students what to do and how to do it, can we still do it? And feeling that the fear and the vulnerability that it takes to do a good performance, not necessarily the fear, but the vulnerability. So that's just a little kind of overview of what we do. In singing, we would do private classes one-on-one, which is rare. At other institutions, you have to go outside the course and pay for them separately. You can still do that if you want to. We do ensemble singing, so we do a huge range of repertoire from, say, maybe Brigadoon even, or something even earlier than that, right up to really contemporary, sort of cutting edge material, which is extremely difficult, I have to say. So having a good ear and being good at harmonies is a really important factor for us when we're looking for singers who, are going to be suitable for this course. We also tend to choose people who are individuals. So again, that makes us different from other courses, because other courses tend to take triple threat and tend to be of a similar height and a similar style and a similar stage. Whereas what I've found doing the NIDA course is we're always looking for good singing voices. That is true, always. But you may be a comedian, or you may be a writer, you may be an acrobat, you may be a really great musician, you may be even a rock musician. So there are lots of other skills that we would look at. You don't necessarily have to be dancing on Broadway, although we like it. We like it if you are. But yeah, it's a course of individuals. There are taller people and crazy looking people and shorter people and glamorous people, and it's and different ages as well. This year we've got people ranging from the age of 17 to 30. So they're called the grandparents, the 30-year-olds. So I don't really know where that puts Philip and myself, because we're absolutely ancient by comparison. But yeah, I mean, so we'd be doing ensemble singing, we'd be doing solo singing, we'd be working towards cabaret, which is spelt K-A-B-A-R-E-T-T. So cabaret, it's Weimar cabaret. And it's based on the German war style of pretty angsty, sometimes aggressive, underground type of material and presentation. And then we might be doing something that's strictly classical. So we always start term 1 with golden repertoire. So that means Rodgers and Hart, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Irving Berlin, Jerome Kern, so all of those really traditional composers, because we often grow up with contemporary music, and yeah, we can do that. You can do that better than I can, for sure. But it's really important, if we're going to emulate Broadway, which in my mind we are, that it's really important that we can sing some classical repertoire. It may not be your end stop, but it's really important that you're able to get your head around the discipline of singing that repertoire and singing what's written on the page. And it's not so improed and riffed, you know, like we do in contemporary music, but that's very important as well. So I'm not putting that down at all. Oh, look, I could just talk forever. We have Showcase at the end of the year. Our poor kids this year, it's been so sad, because we've had a rip-roaring year with them. 2 amazing terms of really great cohort, really nice people, great team workers, really positive personalities, people who have, I have to say it, they have good manners and they're caring. And I think this is really, really important. So, and then suddenly, because of COVID, we're stopped in our tracks, and right now Marnie and Mark are delivering all kinds of ideas. They're throwing balls in the air all day, every day. They have no idea right now what our possibilities are going to be, because nobody knows what's happening with COVID. So hopefully we're going to be out of this by next year. But yes, working towards the Showcase is usually a really great process of, you know, working on some dance pieces. We have some amazing dance tutors. Could be tap, could be hip hop that you might be doing in the Showcase. It could be something more classical. It really depends on what reflects the talents of the cohort. So we don't try and squeeze you into, you know, a little pocket where we might some days, but not for Showcase. So I think it's important to stretch beyond your normal range, your comfortable range. But for Showcase, we'd be looking to reflect, you know, who you really are. So it's quite a process of working through repertoire, and we do a lot of duets and a lot of different styles of repertoire. So you just we never know what's going to happen with Showcase, but it's a big event and it's an important event, and we do get a lot of industry people coming along to see us. Do you think I've said enough, Marnie?
I think that's phenomenal. I was just going to add a couple of things to what you said. Yeah, with Showcase, one of the things that we arrange, because it's the icing of the cake of the qualification, really. It's one of the last things that occurs, and it's the opportunity to show off to industry. We invite a lot of casting agents, management, industry guests, theatre directors, peers to come and see it, and it always either results in I guess a little stepping stone into industry, or networking and connection with people out there who can further you if you're spotted in those in that Showcase. So it's called Showcase for a reason, and it is there to really present you to industry at the end of the course. And the other thing that Anne-Maree mentioned was, yeah, not only do we have phenomenal singing tutors who are all working in industry, we've also got some fantastic dance tutors, many of whom come from Sydney Dance Company. So they are bringing skills that are being trained to the elite dancers of Sydney, and people who are either going out into performance or people who are working and then training at the same time. So again, we've got tap, jazz, ballet, we include hip hop, we have yoga as well. There's you know, breathing techniques and how to stay fit and healthy for this craft. And then also in terms of the acting, we've got top of the range acting tutors as well. You know, not only do we have Philip Quast and Simon Burke, who are both amazing actors themselves, but we also have trained actors who not only teach on the NIDA degree courses, but are also working professionals too. And we're always looking for different people who are in Sydney who we can engage and bring in to introduce to the students. This year, I believe we brought in Sam Worthington because he was just in town. So, you know, it's just a name drop in there. We do try, because we are NIDA, we do have these networks and we do have these professionals that are around who want to lend their time to improve the students. So that's amazing, Anne-Maree, amazing.
That's great. So Marnie, there's a question here asking, firstly, is there a lot of emphasis on danceability during the audition training process? Yes, I would say, as Marnie said before, it's literally divided into thirds, although dance could be divided into movement, Pilates, ballet, tap, hip hop, and also they do acrobatic skills with the amazing Troy Honeysett. So it's a whole range of movement, but basically it's third singing, third acting, and a third dancing. So in terms of the actual audition, we have had people in the past who may not have done the most amazing vocal audition, but they're incredible dancers. So we would say that skill is outstanding. So we want to develop your other skills to try and come up to that. So it is important, but I would still say that probably the most important thing is the singing. We don't have anybody in our years who can't sing at all, if you know what I mean. But we have some really wonderful dancers. Some of them were in Mary Poppins auditions recently, and they did really well. They got callbacks, and we're talking about 18. They're only 18 years old. So there is a really high standard of dancing, and then there's other aspects of dancing which is not so amazing. But then sometimes you find those people have incredible voices. It just depends. It's a big range.
Yeah. So the other thing to point out, so yes, there is a lot of emphasis on danceability, but in terms of the audition process, as you've probably seen from the guidance on the website, we ask you to submit a number of, one recorded audition video that we can watch, but that should include 2 examples of you singing and 1 example of you performing a monologue. So we don't actually look for dance at the first round. That video is the first round. If we invite you to a recall, of which maybe we try to invite maybe 30%, depending on the amount of applicants we get to the course, we try to see about 30% of the people for a recall. At this stage, we're not sure if the recall will be face-to-face or if we're able to actually come into state to see people. This keeps changing every single day. As much as possible, we'd like to come see you in person, but if we find that we can't, we'll kind of arrange a Zoom or a Teams or something to meet you. And in that recall, we either ask you to, or we do ask you to present some of the work again to us, and then possibly engage in a dance call. So yeah, it's not part of the first round of audition, but it is definitely part of the second round, and it is part of us deciding whether you have the capability, you're the all-rounder that might get into the course with that. So as Anne-Maree said, everybody can sing, almost everybody can act, and then the majority who come through can also dance. But we have taken people before who haven't danced in their lives, and actually they learn very quickly. We saw a assessment just before lockdown, literally days before lockdown. It was a tap assessment. It was a dance assessment, but it was tap. And the majority of the people in the course had never tapped before. And even the tutor said, well, in 6 months, you've come a long way than people who've been dancing since they were 5 years old. So we bring you there eventually, even if you don't have the skill to start with.
Yeah, that was actually very fun that day, wasn't it? I'm just reading here, there are no prescribed songs or monologues for the audition. So that's for the first part of the audition. If you did get a call back, you would be asked to sing something classical, as in Rodgers and Hammerstein, Rodgers and Hart, something that shows some legitimate technique, if you know what that means. It's slightly more classical, slightly more opera, but not opera, and it could be. We've had opera singers as well. So it just depends, but that would be for the second part. I would say for the first part, just do something that you really feel shows your authenticity as a person and as a singer, not something that you're putting on a whole lot of learned things. We really want to strip away that and just see, you know, how honest and open and truthful you can be. So it really doesn't matter. We will dig it out of you if we don't see it in the first song, but definitely have 2 or 3 songs ready to sing, because we might stop you quickly and just say, look, that's great, or it could be on the video. We might fast forward through the video. So, and then go to the next song if we think that song is not, you know, is not right for you. But yeah, have a range of things. I don't think we're supposed to fast forward.
We ask for 2 pieces, so 2 contrasting pieces, and everyone always asks us, what does that mean? And then we also ask for, I might get Anne-Maree to explain that in a second, but we also ask for you to do a monologue. And the reason we don't prescribe the monologue is because we don't want hundreds of Hamlets talking to us on their audition. We want you to find something that seems like you, that represents you. We don't want you to do a monologue where you're a 40-year-old character if you're 18. Something that reflects you, that you can find the character in, but they are sort of similar to you, so that you're not sort of going too far out of your range. But it could be from stage, it could also be from screen. We've had people do things that have come from, I don't know, My Own Private Idaho before, as a film, you know, something by River Phoenix, or if you want to do something from a Marvel film, go for it. Obviously don't do something that's a big purple character if it's not your age group, but find something that reflects you. So that's why we leave it really open. And Anne-Maree, do you want to talk about contrasting songs?
Yeah, I would say, does it say 2 contrasting songs this year?
Yeah.
There's only 2. I would tend to think the obvious, which is choose a ballad and maybe choose something up-tempo or even comic. The comic is a really good thing to show if you're confident with it. Doesn't matter if you're not, you could do something different. But something, you know, you could choose something from Guys and Dolls, for instance, something that's pre-1960s, and then go into something that maybe is not Dear Evan Hansen, because we're all, you know, a little bit over it, but something that's really contemporary. Or it could be Andrew Lloyd Webber, it could be anything, but let's say as a basic guideline it would be a ballad and an up tempo to show different parts of your personality.
So there's another question here, Anne-Maree, that you might be able to answer, is what do you look for in the auditions when choosing someone?
What do I look for? I look for star quality. And it's amazing how people may not be the most amazing dancer, or they may not be the most amazing singer, or they may be still working on their acting, but they've got something that makes you want to watch them. And Shimon Faisal is one of those girls. Just absolutely, her audition was so riveting. We just couldn't take our eyes off her. And she's gone out. She's not really a musical theatre person, not at the moment anyway, but she's gone out to do other things, and she's quite exceptional. But I would say star quality, and that means not trying too hard often, and just show us, you know, what you've got. And I'm looking for vocal skills as well, as much as anything. At this moment in time, there's a group that I read on Playbill the other day. I can't remember who it is. I would recommend that you all get overseas news from the stage in London and Playbill in New York, and keep up with all the performances and the people that, you know, who are leading those performances, directing them, singing them and writing them as well. But they're doing a search for a star in America. It has to be people who live in the United States. So that's a shame, because I've got one gorgeous student who's gone to WAPA this year from DMT, and I just think he would do incredibly well, but he lives in the wrong place. But that's okay. But they sent out a list of criteria about what they were looking for, and at the top is vocal excellence. So it's, for me, that's true. I don't want to put you off if dancing's your thing and singing is maybe your next thing. That's okay, because I've seen singers make extraordinary leaps and bounds in one facet of training that they didn't have before. So I think, don't think that, you know, don't second guess anything. Just present us with your best self.
And that's to do with talent. I think also in the audition, we want to see that you have a great personality. We want to see that you are someone that is going to be engaged throughout the training. We actually ask a lot of our students. It's a really rigorous course. It's such a short course, and we expect so much, and it really is what you get out of it. So if we're looking for people who are engaged and open and willing to improve, you know, not people who maybe think that they know it all already, because that's not the point of actually doing this training. The point of doing this training is to grow. We provide so much in the course to help you grow as well. You know, as I said, we've got yoga, we've got singing ensemble, we've got private lessons, we've got all these things, but we need the person who is going to be open, and we only take 24 a year. The other thing we're looking for as well is someone who's going to be resilient. So someone who's going to bounce back, someone who will take not criticism, but will take feedback and will take comments and grow from there. So, and these are those, as you all are aware, those soft skills. But yeah, the ability to collaborate, the ability to listen, all of those things of just literally being the right person who is open to learning and open to getting as much out of the course as possible. I think we would take someone like that over, maybe Anne-Maree might disagree with me, but over the person who thinks they know everything already.
Definitely.
Yeah. Another question on here about auditions. Any advice to people re-auditioning for the second or third time? How can we show growth?
I think that's a really hard one. One of our beautiful girls this year had auditioned a couple of times before, and on the day it just didn't seem to work out. And then this time we took her, and she's divine. So sometimes you go, how did I miss that? I would criticize myself for missing somebody's special talent. It's a really hard thing. Maybe try a different repertoire. Maybe try doing a makeover, presenting yourself differently. Maybe looking at your energy, your positive mindset, whether or not you're so nervous that you can't take on any feedback. So being calm and focused is a really good one to work towards, and that's something we would try and work towards together in the course anyway. But yes, I would just say look at your previous auditions. Maybe look if they were. That's the wonderful thing about the Zoom auditions or video auditions, is that you can go back and make a reappraisal. So maybe you and somebody that you respect in the industry, or your teacher, just go like, what did I do wrong there? You know, was I wearing the wrong thing? Did I speak too much? Did I scream when I was singing, whereas I just needed to be, be myself? I mean, go back and make those appraisals. I think that's a very tough thing to do. Philip Quast is all about filming people. He's out there with his blooming camera the whole time. It's absolutely terrifying. And but it's amazing what you see that you didn't realise you were doing. Bad habits. Philip's really big on habits, like just strange little mannerisms that we had. We had one singer once who was singing way out the side of his mouth, fabulous voice. And Philip and myself, I have to say, we had to go to him and go, do you realise you're doing this? And he said, no, nobody's ever told me. And we're like, oh my God. So he spent a lot of time in front of the mirror correcting that habit, because it is off-putting if you've got those sort of physical mannerisms and habits. I'm looking at myself now thinking, oh my God, you look so bad when you're speaking. But do you know what I mean? It's like, I think film yourself, go back and be a bit objective about it. Were you singing in tune, for instance? I don't know. Yeah.
I think the other thing is to remember that with the application form, you can put a description of what you've been up to and your experience. And so if this is your third time and you're happy to write that into your application, say that and say, since I auditioned last year, I've done these things and this is where I think I've grown. So the audition panel has that information in front of them. If they haven't read it in advance, they're reading it while you're performing. So what you're not saying when you're singing is down on the paper in front of them. So they can go, oh yeah, I saw that person last year. And yeah, that's right, they did do, I think they have grown from those areas on the points that they say. So be explicit in your application form. If you are coming again, use that to say how you think you've grown and what you've done in the past year.
Marnie, in terms of other learning pathways, it's a really good question, because what we have at the end of the year is probably thousands of people auditioning for various courses. And if you're at a certain level and you want to go to WAPA or VCA, that's probably going to be your preferred thing if you got in. But that's because it's a degree course, it's a 3-year course, but not necessarily. Some people just want that 9 months of really intense vocational education, and that is enough. And I was just we have so many people from our DMT course who are out in the industry, like Grace and Angelica from the last couple of years are in West Side Story at the moment. Zoe Ioannou was in The Wizard of Oz and a million other things. Ellis Dolan toured New Zealand and Asia doing the lead role in School of Rock. Aisha Dera is in Harry Potter. We have 2 students who went from DMT into the Bachelor of Fine Arts acting at NIDA.
3 now.
Oh, who's the third one?
We've got 1 in every year group at the moment. And we've got 2 graduates.
And Charlie.
Ari and Charlie, and there's someone in the year group in between. I can't think of the name at the moment. And we've had 2 graduates.
Oh yeah, well there you go. See, more than what I would know. There's Manon Gunderson, who was in Muriel's wedding, and she's now, well, she just signed up for Come From Away, but obviously they're having problems there. So there are a lot of people that do that 9-month training and they get out into the industry. And then there are other people, you know, who will do this intense training and then go, like Mitchell France, who's gone on to WAPA this year, and another student of ours who went to VCA after having done Diploma of Musical Theatre. They weren't really ready for a 3-year course, often away from home. They were very young, like 17. So there are all those things to take into consideration. So I think everyone's different, but there are definitely, I think it is a great preparation for either the industry or for further learning.
Yeah, and I think it's got a good name for it, this course as well. So every year we do have someone who either goes into the NIDA course or to WAPA or to VCA. I think in the last 2 years we've had people auditioning internationally as well, and actually we've got people performing internationally now as well. So at sort of Universal Studios in Japan, that sort of thing. So if you're using this as the opportunity to build your skills, as Anne-Maree says, and then go straight out into industry, you've got the networking that occurs during this course. But if also you're building this to move out into further training, well, to start with, you're at NIDA every day. So the acting course and the musical theatre staff on the acting course, of which Anne-Maree is one as well, see you and are introduced to you and watch you at the showcase and can see what you do. So it's an amazing audition, really, to get into the degree course the following year if that's what you want. But it's also an amazing audition for them to say, okay, well, why don't you go and apply for this? Go and apply for Guildhall. Go and apply for I don't know, auditions for New York. What is coming up? Because we want to see you do further stuff, and it's a great opportunity as well to have those career pathway talks once you're in the course. Because when you start at the moment, you might be thinking, I want to move into a degree, but then halfway through the course, you might change your mind and might want to get an agent or whatever it is. What else have we got? What times and days of the week does the course go for? That's an easy one. It's Monday to Thursday, so it's 4 days a week, 9 till 5. Unless we're in production mode, and then it could be 5 days a week until later in the evenings because of performances. But generally, unless there's a public holiday that week or unless there's a performance, it is 4 days a week, 9 till 5.
So somebody's asking. Oh yeah, you go, Marnie.
No, what kind of performances have been in showcases in the past? Wow.
I'm just trying to download the programs from the last couple of years and they're not downloading for me. We could do anything from Rhythm of Life to Crazy Town, from 35 millimeters, a musical exhibition. That was a really intense piece that we did last year, to a musical from not Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, the other crazy, God, what's that piece called? That's gone out of my head. What else? We did lots of duets last year, like Very Unusual Way. We turned into a duet. We did something from Wedding Singer mashed up with Getting Married Today. So that was a complete musical mashup of different worlds, basically. So we did stuff from Wicked. We did an ensemble version of For Good, which is an interesting idea with a male soloist. So we never just go for what's been done before. It'll always be a reimagining or a restaging. It'll be gender diverse. So it may not be the girls that get to sing, you know, Elphaba or what. I mean, I'm just saying that so you know, but just seeing other things that we did. Yeah, David Bowie stuff, Step Back in Time. It was DMT 20, A Night We'll Never Forget. Also stuff from Groundhog Day, which is, I don't know if you guys know, it's Tim Minchin's, absolutely fantastic. There Will Be Sun, that was very moving. Shine a Light from Heathers. Rhythm of Life, Sweet Charity. On the Town, we did a really nice little snazzy Broadway number of 6 people doing that, 3 girls and 3 boys. We've done And You Don't Even Know It from Jamie. So that was really great. I mean, honestly, the list goes on and on. Yeah, but it's a real mixture of classical material and contemporary material and everything else in between. And it may even be pop material. Philip Quast is very keen on doing contemporary pop stuff, because it is required that you are able to front up with that stuff in the industry. You know, they might say, choose 30 bars of a pop song. Go, well, I haven't done any. So you've got to have that repertoire under your belt as well.
I might just answer a couple of questions very quickly. What is the average amount of people who apply, and what's the average amount of people that get callbacks? Well, it's a very tricky one to answer, because this year the applications are free, and in the past they've been $75 to apply. So I don't think that the equity is there on saying how many people apply, but as I said, we try to see about a third of the applicants for a callback. If we see something in you, particularly because now it's online auditions is the first round, we will try to see you again. So you need to make your audition video as strong as possible. We don't have a number where we say, that's it, we can't see any more. Sometimes there is, because if we're doing it face to face and we're going to Brisbane, so there's probably only about 75 people we can see face to face, but generally there isn't a number or a cap on that. We will see everybody who shows something that we want to see in a recall again. And yeah, we'll try and see as many people as possible. Another quick one, do you recommend doing a different monologue to that we're doing to the bachelor's course? That's up to you. We don't sit on the panel for the bachelor's course, so if you would like to rehearse that and present that to us, you can, or you can do something completely different. As I said before, we want to see something that showcases you. If you think the one that you're doing for the bachelor's course, which is the prescribed one, doesn't do that, then I wouldn't suggest you do it for your monologue. And one other really quick question, or 2 quick questions. Someone said, do you have to perform in front of people in the course? Yes. It's a collaborative course. You're in class together all the time, and then you're on stage together at the end. We are training you for industry, and industry is the ability to perform. And the last question I'm going to answer really quickly is, if you're a strong dancer, can you send a short dance video in your application? The answer is no. We do say we want to have 2 songs and a monologue, and we say that for a reason, for equity and parity in the first round of audition. So we're not looking for dance in the first round. You know, if you want to do a little bit of movement while you're singing, please go ahead. But we're not, if you're a strong dancer, sending a dance video in the first round is actually probably not going to put you in a better stead than anybody else. And just a quick reminder on that, when you are submitting your audition, you need to make sure that all videos are in the same link. So you're not sending separate videos, you're sending one video with a short introduction about yourself, and then 2 songs and a monologue, which you either do in tandem in the one recording, or you cut together into a video that you send us. Sorry, Anne-Maree, I just want to quickly get through those answers.
No, there were just a couple more too, Marnie, and that is,
yep.
Would it be possible to do another course at the same time as doing DMT? I'd say absolutely not. It's really exhausting. It's 9 to 6, 4 days a week. and often the rest of those other 3 days people are spending working, but it does require homework and practice, and I think it's not possible to do another course at the same time. And the other question was, is there opportunity within the course for composition? So there's no opportunity to be tutored in composition, but we often have people who bring in original compositions and perform them. And yes, we have masterclasses every week, and we're continually performing in front of other people.
So I'm just reading the questions now to see if there's anything else. Please then send through questions if you've got any more. For those interested in pursuing a non-art degree as well, what would that be possible during this course? That's the same as Anne-Marie's just answered. No, we have had people study online other courses during their diploma course. We've had other people, work very serious jobs like being a nurse during our diploma course. There is time for you to do other things outside, but we do expect you to be there 4 days a week, 9 to 5, and that those other things that you're doing are not things that are going to get in the way of your training. So if you are studying a degree online, a certificate, a grad cert, whatever it is, something else with another training provider, and you're able to do both at the same time, go for it. But if it's something that also requires face-to-face training, it's not something that you'll be able to do while you're doing this course. Anne-Maree, what do you recommend people do if they're not accepted? How could they improve?
Well, private singing lessons, dance classes, Sydney Dance Company. Acting's a little different, but there are lots of open classes for actors that you could do. But I would suggest, difficult right now, but community theatre is a really high standard in Sydney. I'm sure it is in Melbourne as well. So there are a lot of amazing people who actually do go on to have careers and certainly join courses who are doing community theatre. So I think it gives you great experience. It gives you, the feeling of working within a team and a cast and being a collaborator, learning harmonies, acting, being on stage. So I think that's a really practical way of actually getting better. And then also, I think it can help you kind of gauge as to where you sit within the, the community cohort, if you like. So it's not that you'd want to be scared, but if you see somebody over there who's blitzing every song and is just super, super confident, and you're in the corner absolutely terrified, then you've got to actually look at that. How am I going to get myself, out of that fear and out of that brace? And, do I actually have the talent to do it as well? Do I really want to do? What do I want to do? I mean, I'm a firm believer that you can do whatever you want to do, but, there are varying levels of work and commitment depending on what your natural abilities are. If that makes sense.
And I think to extend yourself as well. I mean, we get a lot of applicants that come straight from school who may have been going to a dance studio since they were 3 or since they were a certain age, doing, all of the different dance areas, plus doing troupes and performing in a Stedfords, and plus doing singing classes. But in some cases, that doesn't prepare you enough. That's something that is preparing you as a dancer, but maybe not as a musical theatre performer. So you do need to kind of move out of there as well and find more professionals, maybe do more solo singing classes, or move into something that's less dance driven and more musical theatre or singing driven, as Anne-Maree said, to really understand that aspect of the industry. Dance is important. Being someone who's come from that background myself, I know what it's like. It is very dance focused, and I would say that the singing training that you get from a dance studio would not necessarily be the singing training we're looking for, because you're in there with a group class. So go and get yourself some private lessons from a professional.
One other thing I would add, Marnie, as well, is I think one of the remarkable things about NIDA is that there are so many different communities within the building that, and Marnie can talk about this more than me, but we see it all the time where students collaborate and then they make basically lifelong friendships with people who are doing a different skill to them, and there are so many under the one roof.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the thing to mention is that NIDA also has classes that you can participate in. NIDA Open do have singing, musical theatre classes. They've got audition technique classes if you think that your auditions need to improve a little bit, if you get in there and you freeze. There are classes, there's online classes that you can take. There's so many things on YouTube which can explain to you how to audition. There's so many podcasts that you can listen to about these things. So really get out there and see what you can find that can help you improve in these areas. There's so much there that you can access to help.
But also just under the vet banner, there's makeup and design, and you know it better than I do, but costume, stage management, technical, so many different areas. Yeah,
and those collaborations happen when you're at NIDA, and as Anne-Maree says, they happen when you leave as well. It could be that that's where you find work as well, through the people that you meet and the people that you collaborate with. Yeah. Somebody has said, with a new outline for the audition being 1 minute for each song, how do you find a repertoire that will suit the tight time limit? The song that you sing doesn't need to be a minute in length. You can choose part of that. You can choose to sing the first minute of it. You can choose to take aspects of the song out so that it fits into a minute. Anne-Maree, you might want to.
Yeah, I tend to want to start at the beginning. It depends. Some songs, it's easy to just cut into the chorus. But if there's a really interesting, monologue storytelling piece that comes before the main chorus, I would want to hear that myself personally. If it gets too long, we will stop and go on to something else. So that doesn't mean that it wasn't good. It just means that we're running out of time. But I see some really butchered pieces of music that come in. They've been cut to smithereens. The key changes are really bad. And so you've just got to be careful about who is doing that work for you, and if it's appropriate and if it's done really well.
Just moving a few more questions across that we can answer quickly. I don't know if Ash can help here. One of the questions again is there a time where scouts and agents watch? Yes, as we've already discussed, that's the showcase at the end of the training. And then they support, and we also support ways into industry as well, and helping you find ways to navigate and find auditions. So that's, yes, there is opportunity from this course to network and move into industry. Is prior experience in industry taken into account when selecting for the course? Yes. Yes. And we want to read about it. So you've got the opportunity to write that in your application. We want to know where you've been. There might not be a chance in the actual audition for you to explain that. So that's why you get the chance to include that as a written aspect of your application. And then while we're reading it during the audition, we might ask you about it. So definitely provide prompts in your application that can help us talk to you further about what experience you might have. It says, you talked about seeing personality in the auditions. What sort of things make you notice these kinds of things?
Personally, I notice somebody who hasn't come in to impress, but somebody who's really involved in the work that they're presenting, for want of a better word. So they've really done the homework on character and situation, and maybe even simpler than that, but they have an immersement in what they're doing, and a concentration and a calmness. I think that is always really exciting. But then some people will come in and have massive personalities and have everybody laughing, and we want those people as well. I think everybody's different. Be yourself. because you can't be someone else. So don't second guess what we're looking for and then plaster it on top. You know, just be you when you're with the people that you love the most. You know, it could be at home, it could be a, you know, best friend, it could be at school or with your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it is. Who are the people that you feel really good about yourself when you're around? And if there's nobody, then you're going to work on that.
And
really
what we're talking about is the
self-love.
recall there. So, you know, in your interview video, you get a chance at the beginning to introduce yourself and explain what you do and your background and your passions, and that's great. And we want to see that personality come through. And then when we invite you to recall, we want to see that again in the room. There's only about 20 people in the room. It's quite informal in terms of an actual face-to-face audition, and it's not a terrifying audition at all. You know, we try to treat you more like, I don't know, just it's more discussion based, it's group based. The people in the room who are on the panel are also the tutors on the course, so they want to meet you and they want to have a connection with you. They might have to teach you for the next year, so we want to start those relationships from that audition. So don't come in thinking it's going to be terrifying. It's actually a great development experience. If you don't get in, even if you don't get in, it's a great, I guess, personable experience. It's not a terrifying one. We're there to support you to get into the course, not to tell you you're not in the course.
Well, it's a group audition, isn't it, Marnie, if we do it, you know, as we've done it in the past. But yes, you will all come in together. We'll play games. We'll play getting to know you exercises, remembering names and mucking around quite a bit. And then we'll get people up quite relaxed and get people up to sing. So you will sing in front of each other, which I think is a really great thing. It's a great performing exercise anyway. It's a really good experience. And there was something else I was going to mention with that. No, that's gone. Sorry.
All right, a couple more questions we might wrap up. Are there people who've gotten into the course that haven't had acting classes in the past? Absolutely. Then there's people that have gotten in the course that their strongest thing has been acting, and then they've got skills in just general singing skills and no dance skills at all. So sometimes we take wild cards, and sometimes we have people who come in with absolute raw talent. Absolute raw talent. I'm thinking of Adora from last year, who completed the course phenomenal and is now auditioning all over the place and is actually an amazing contributor and alumni. So yes. How many teachers or tutors are you taught by? Quite a few. There's probably across the course, in terms of singing and repertoire and people who are in the class with you while you're honing your skills, in that way, you probably come across at least 5 tutors. Because also don't forget that not every tutor is available all the time. So we may have Anne-Maree in the room, but Anne-Maree might be working on something. So we might have someone else in who replaces Anne-Maree, who's you know, an amazing person themselves. I think we've had Luke Byrne in the past, we've had Mark Chamberlain, you know, and if we are going to invite somebody in to replace a core tutor, they're going to be someone that core tutor has probably recommended themselves and looks up to as well. So someone they would like you to be learning from. So yeah, so it's probably sort of 5 or 6. Acting wise, probably about 5 or 6 as well. Dance, as I said, including Troy, maybe 4 or 5 different tutors, and then we have guests in all the time. So it's actually quite a lot. You definitely get a lot for your money by doing this course. It's an intensive course, but it's also such an opportunity to meet so many different people, to build a range of different skills. And what else are you going to do? If you wanted to move into musical theatre, where else would you get? I don't know, what do we say, Anne-Maree? Maybe 6 dance classes a week, 10 singing classes a week. You've got acting. You might even get some screen work in there. So that we throw everything at the course when you're in the course. I really think the fee amount that you pay is probably, you get much more than you pay for out of it. I don't think it would cost you that. If you wanted to do that yourself and pay for that yourself in industry, it would cost you a lot more. Would you take people with passion and hard work over talent?
It depends. Possibly. You unfortunately you can't have zero talent. But I have seen people who have been maybe not shining and flying as much as they could have, and with hard work and self-belief, they take off. Whereas sometimes people who sit back on their talent and can't be bothered working on it because they are gifted, they don't necessarily do as well. So yeah, but in the audition process, it's really a matter of matching a cohort, matching a group of people and seeing who would fit in with that particular group.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing, Anne-Maree, we need to take an ensemble. So we usually take 24, we take 12 female, 12 male, or depending on who applies of, gender variety. And then we take people in all the different ranges as well. So we wouldn't take 12 female sopranos.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're looking at that as well. Who's going to fit together is to create a good ensemble. Can you apply for DMT and the BFA Singing Actor? Yes, because both applications are separate, so absolutely. Our auditions don't tend to be, don't tend to be on the same day. And if you get into both, we'll just battle it out from our end.
Done it before.
So if you wanted to apply for, there's no limit on how many courses you want to apply for at NIDA. If you want to apply for the makeup course and the design course and the staging course as well, go for it. And we'll, again, as I say, we'll battle it out to see what course you get into. It gives you the right to turn around and pick what course you want, which is, as Anne-Maree said, it's happened before. All right, we're just going to wrap it up now because there's not any more questions. Hopefully we've answered. Oh, one other real quick one for you, Anne-Maree. Do you want to hear accents in the songs or the monologue?
Oh, it depends entirely on what the piece requires. I think you've got to be really careful with accents. But so if you're going to do one, do it really well and be prepared to put it into an Australian accent or an Italian accent. So I think that's one of the things that we're really keen on, is just having the flexibility to take on knowledge and information from a director or a music director and be able to make those changes. So I'm really glad you asked that, Marnie, actually, because I think it's one of the most important things, because you could have somebody who's really talented, but you can't actually shift them in any direction. They're stuck in a way. Maybe they're afraid, or I don't know what it is, but it's the people that can run with the moment and fly with that, stay with it, stay present and stay in the moment. If you're asked to do something that's completely different, for instance, an up-tempo song, we might do it as a ballad. So it's testing that spontaneity and flexibility.
Yeah, I think it's a good question too, because sometimes it's tricky. Sometimes the language of the song requires an accent.
Yeah. But
then maybe you can be quite smart about that and change it in another way.
Yeah. I think generally speaking, say if it's Dear Evan Hansen, for instance, I don't know why that keeps popping into my head, but any of those contemporary American musicals, they don't need accents because the accents often dictate a culture or an area of America. So, but I think something that's, based in New York, but then if you were doing like a really Jewish, hilarious comedy, I don't know, anything goes. Sometimes to say it in an Australian accent doesn't sound that great. I think you've just got to make choices, and we'll help you with that, but be flexible.
Well, I think you've given everyone a lot to think about this evening. Thank you, everyone, for your questions as well. I think there were some really thought-provoking ones in there, and I hope that you asked questions that answered everybody else's questions as well at home, or we developed our answers a bit more to give you a bit more in-depth insight into the course, but also I think we talked a lot about the audition process, which is great. I think the more prepared you are, the better and stronger you'll be in the room. Hopefully, if we get to see you in the room this year. And then, yeah, with the course, I think we've gone over a sort of basic. If you want to know anything else about the course, have a look at the website. There's videos there. There's a fee schedule and an application guide which tells you a little bit more about fees and vet student loan and that sort of thing. And there's also examples on there of things that we've done on the training. So if you've got any other questions about what are you looking for, there's stuff there for you to see. But thank you very much, Anne-Maree.
Thank you, Marnie.
And thank you, Ash, behind the scenes. You've done a wicked job, and good luck to everybody.
We could see everybody, but wherever you are, I hope we get to see you again.
And keep well and safe. And hopefully your lockdown ends soon. All right, thank you.